I'm going to be guiding you guys through a 60-minute slow flow with a focus on outer hips and IT bands. If you have a block, it is optional. You can use it in today's practice by placing it off to the side. But we are going to begin on our backs. So as you come to the back side of your body, just find a position that works best for you. You could extend the feet out in front of you, allowing your toes and thighs to splay out to the side. If you want a little bit more into your inner thighs and hips, send the soles of the feet to touch and butterfly your knees out to the side. If you need a little bit more support for your low back, if you feel pinching or pulling with your legs extended, then draw your knees together and send the soles of the feet to the ground. So wherever you arrive, just begin to close down your eyes, allow your palms to flip upward, to roll your shoulders down and into the mat beneath you. Soften your jaw and your face. Find a gentle part of your lips. And then take a long inhale through your nose to fill your belly, chest and lungs. And then audible exhale out the mouth, release and empty. Inhale as we fill, draw the breath in a little bit longer. And exhale as you release, push the air out a little further. Take a few deep rounds of breath here on your own, finding long in-breaths and cleansing out-breaths. Begin to establish this rhythm, this wave. And then if and when you feel ready, you can begin to fire up your Ujjayi breath, sending inhales through your nose and exhales out your nose. Working to draw a little bit deeper heat into the body, focus to the mind. And then we're going to use the next 60 minutes to bridge that gap between asana and pranayama. Take a couple deep rounds of breath here. And on your next inhale, begin to reach your arms up overhead, pointing your toes to the front of the room. Find a nice big morning stretch. Now just begin to move around any sluggish energy in the hands, the feet, the knees and wrists. Maybe you shrug your shoulders up into your ears, really finding length with each inhale. Exhale, you're going to start to walk your hands to the top right corner of your mat and then crawl your feet to the bottom right corner of your mat as well. We're going to make a little banana shape here. If you want a little bit more intensity, place that left ankle on top of the right. And then continue to pull back through that left hip and that left shoulder so that the left side of your body is equally heavy as the right. As you draw your hands and feet over to the right side of the room, you start to feel length in the left side of the body. Length all the way through that left ankle, up the side of the leg, and out through your fingertips. Starting to warm up the IT band, the psoas, and quadratus lumbar. As you inhale, crawl hands and feet back to center. Find that length on your inhale. Exhale, we're going to take it on that second side. You walk your hands to the top left corner of the mat, and then walk your feet to the bottom left corner. Again, you could place this right ankle on top of the left, and then roll back through that right hip and that right shoulder, and then send your hands and send your feet over to the left side of the room as you plug the entire right side of your body deeply down into your mat. Feel that stretch now on the right side. Feel the length from ankle to fingertips. Feel the breath draw deeper into that right side body space as you create length. And then as you inhale, walk hands and feet back to center. Deep inhale as you reach. Exhale, we're going to pull the knees into the chest. Thighs arrive to the belly as you press your low back firmly into the earth. Now starting to find a little lateral rock side to side here, give the low back a gentle massage. If you want to feel a little bit more into the back sides of your hips and your low back, pull your knees in a little bit tighter towards your sternum, and maybe continue to find that movement right to left, pressing your low lumbar spine deeply into the mat as we do so. And then place your hands upon your knees. Let's start to draw big, generous circles on the ceiling here, stirring up any synovial fluid in the hip flexors. And those circles can move independently of one another, or they can move in the same direction. You can draw your knees in a little bit tighter, send the knees forward, whatever movement feels most organic for the body. Take about 2, maybe 3 more rounds of breath here. Release your hands from your legs and send the feet up towards the sky. So we're going to find our reclined Gomukhasana legs. You're going to cross that right knee over the left like you're making an X here with the legs. Starting to feel the outer edge of that right IT band, go ahead and bend your knees, keeping your knees crossed here. You take your hands onto your knees, your shins, maybe you can grasp down to the ankles, and then start to draw the thighs and knees in towards the torso. You're continuing to cross the legs, finding the compression of the hips, thus the length into the outer legs, and pull the knees in. Now, if you've got the flexibility, you can reach down for the outer edges of your feet. Send your toes back through a deep V, and then draw your knees down closer towards your sternum. You want to continue to squeeze inner thighs, maybe separating your ankles a little bit further, pressing your low back deeply into the mat, squeezing and wrapping. Keep your head, neck, and shoulders on the ground. Maybe drawing the knees in a little bit closer towards the body. And we're going to release the hands from the legs. Keep the wrap, and we're going to find eagle legs here. Maybe you wrap that right leg behind the left here. If not, wrapping once is fine, just drawing your ankles closer together. Hands are going to arrive outside the hips, and palms are going to come down. You're going to inhale, find a little scoop as you pull your knees in towards the chest, lifting the tailbone slightly away from the mat. And then as we exhale, we lower the tailbone down and you tap your left toes towards the earth. Give them a little tap here, and then we're going to pull the knees in. Without momentum, we find that scoop once again. Navel to your spine, you draw your knees in towards the sternum. And with control, we start to lift and lower your eagle legs. Now, if you're lowering your left toes down to the ground and you feel discomfort occur into your low back, then decrease your range of motion. Stop before your low back begins to peel away from your mat. And then pull the knees back in, give that little scoop. It does help to press into your forearms and your palms so that you can find that scoop without using the momentum of the lift and lower of the legs. Nice and controlled here as we squeeze in our thighs, we begin to engage low belly. Finding that scoop at the top is where that magic begins to happen. We pull the knees in, and with control we lower and send your left toes down to the ground. Let's take about 3 more here. Let's go for 2. 1 more, you dip your toes down towards your mat, pull your knees in, find that little scoop, and then you're going to come back to your neutral legs, but with eagle legs, and you're going to take your hands behind your head. Interlace your hands behind the head and inhale, peel up your head, neck, and shoulders. Now think about lifting your chin up to the sky rather than towards your heart, and I want you to squeeze your elbows towards that right thigh, drawing it in nice and tight. Exhale, we open, we dip the toes down, and we open up the chest. Try to keep the head hovered if you can. And then we pull it in, we squeeze, and then we open. Again, if your low back is peeling off and away from the mat, or if you start to feel discomfort into your low back, you are not going to dip your toes all the way down to the ground. As we pull in, we squeeze, elbows to right thigh, we open. So your exhale, send your elbows towards your knees, your chin to the chest. In your inhales, you open up, draw your elbows back, your chin up towards the sky, and your toes down to the ground. Let's take just a couple more here. Finding your pace your rhythm. Use the breath to guide you in and out. One more. Let's squeeze the top. Pull your elbows towards that thigh here. Squeezing a little bit more. Pressure low back. Lift your tailbone. And as you exhale, you're going to lower head, neck, and shoulders. We take the hands off to the side and we're going to find a supine twist. Drop your knees over to the right. Now, if this is too intense with that right leg wrapped on top of the left, just unravel and find a standard supine twist. Plug your left shoulder down and gaze over your left middle finger. Using the weight of that right leg to find a little bit more of a stretch into that left side piriformis, low back and outer hip. Taking deep breaths into your low spine. Send your gaze up. Let's draw your knees back towards center. And we unravel, sending both feet up towards the sky. You can shake it out. You can move it around. We're going to take that left knee and cross it on top of the right. So you're finding that X shape with the legs. I want you to feel that left IT band first and then begin to bend your knees here. You're compressing inner thighs together. Knees stay stacked. Hands draw to your knees, your shins, maybe your ankles, or to the outer edges of the feet. Actively pull your knees in towards the chest, and if you want more, send your toes to the back of the room, creating a V shape from your ankles to your knees. And then roll the shoulder blades down and pull that left thigh actively towards the heart. Keep squeezing inner thighs. Feel that stretch down to the left side gluteus, IT band and outer hip. 2. Release your hands from where they're at, and we're going to wrap that left leg behind the right. We find your eagle legs once again. If you can't double wrap, just squeeze that left leg closer into the right. Hands come beside your hips, palms come down. We pull the knees in towards the chest. We find that little baby scoop. And then we drop your right toes down to the ground. Find a little tap, a little dip, before we pull the knees back in with control and scoop at the top. And then we're going to find those little eagle crunches here on your back, nice and slow. And remember, the active abdominal work comes at the top of that crunch as we pull the knees into the chest, finding that little scoop, and then you lower your right toes down. Again, you want to keep your low back firmly rooted onto the mat the entire time, meaning when you send your toes down, you're still drawing your navel towards your spine. And then whenever you pull the knees in, the navel goes down even more, and the tailbone starts to lift. So the belly stays active the entire move, in and out. Keep squeezing and wrapping the thighs. We're going to see this shape a couple times later here. As we work out our hips, let's go for 3. Let's go for 2. Final one, pull your knees in, scoop, and then take your legs, your tailbone down. Hands are going to come behind your head. We're going to peel up head, neck, and shoulders. Think about lifting the chin up here, pressing your lumbar spine deeply into the mat. We're going to exhale, pull the elbows towards your left thigh, chin to heart. We open up, we dip the toes, and open up the chest. Again, if this is too much, just decrease the range of motion with your legs, or maybe forego the lift and lower of the legs and just find the crunch through the upper abdominals as we start to bridge between the low and upper belly. Good, so your inhale opens up. You keep your head slightly lifted, your toes slightly lifted, and then exhale sends it all back in for that compression, that crunch, that engagement. Low belly or low back never comes away from the mat here as you find this controlled movement. Out and in. Let's take about 2, maybe 3 more. Hold at the top, elbows towards that left thigh, curl. And then lower head, neck, and shoulders. Send your arms out to the side, and we're going to lower knees now over to the left. Again, you can unravel your legs if you prefer. Roll right shoulders down, and then send your gaze over to the right fingertips, finding that active supine twist. Breathing into your low back. Plug the right shoulder down. Inhale, take your gaze back up towards the sky. Draw your knees back towards the center and we release. Unravel the legs and pull the knees in towards the chest. You can find a little rock side to side here once again. When you're ready, we're going to rock forward and backward the length of your spine. Now you can use momentum here to go forward and backward, or you could roll to your side. Option to roll over your shins. We come to hands and knees when you're ready. When we arrive in tabletop stacking, all of the joints here, spreading fingertips really wide. Wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Now weight is going to go into that left knee and we're going to send that right heel back for half spinal balance. Now rotate the right pinky toe down so you're squaring off your hips and your low back. Plug your navel in towards your spine and you're going to cross that right leg behind the left and just give it a little toe tap to the outer left edge of your mat. Now as we inhale with control, you're not moving your low back, you're lifting up that right heel and you're tapping that space to the outer edge of the right side of your mat. So it's like we're drawing a rainbow from left to right with very minimal movement in your pelvis. You want to find just that rotation of the hip flexor. Maybe your rainbow looks more like a straight line through the center, and that's okay. I'd rather you not take it into your low back. You're drawing navel to your spine. You're keeping your hips nice and active as we go from right to left, finding a gentle internal and external rotation of that hip joint. One more out to the right, and we're going to drop it over to the left here. Tuck your right toes underneath, press the right heel to the back, left edge of the room, and then send your gaze over the left shoulder. Finding once again that curvature of that right side body, that little half moon shape that we started at the beginning of practice, and just be heavy here in the shape, sending that right heel back, roll that right hip down, and gaze goes over the left shoulder. Breathe into that right side body space. Gaze goes forward. You're just going to drop the right knee behind the left. Lower hips towards your heels and start to crawl your hands to the top right corner of your mat as you drape your belly and chest over that left thigh. Lower chin towards that left knee between the gate of your biceps. Keep reaching through your fingertips. Keep sinking your hips towards your heels. Gaze goes to your fingertips. We're going to unravel, sending the wrists underneath the shoulders. We send that right heel back as we square it all off. Exhale, right knee lowers. You're back in that tabletop pose. Restack your joints if they've moved. We're going right into the second side. Weight goes into that right leg. Left heel reaches back. Half spinal balance. Rotate that left hip down here. Draw your navel into your spine. And then we're going to send the left toes behind the right thigh. Find that little tap of the left toes to the right edge of your mat. And then we lift up with control, sending your left toes to the left side of your mat. So just going side to side here once again. Try not to move through the upper body whatsoever. It's just through that hip joint as we find that rainbow shape from right to left. Controlled pelvis. Controlled functional movement as we go side to side. Good. Try not to move your hips, but maybe you can increase that range of motion. And then dip your toes over to the left, and we're going to take it back behind that right thigh. Now tuck all 5 toes of that left foot underneath. Send the left heel to the back right edge of the room, finding that calf and Achilles stretch. And then gaze goes over the right shoulder, finding side body extension. Again, resting heavy here in the shape. Pull the left hip down as you reach that left heel to the back of the room. Take an inhale to the left side body. Gaze goes forward. Drop that left knee down behind the right. Lower hips towards your heels as you crawl your hands to the top left corner of the room. Drop belly down onto that right thigh, lower chin down towards that right knee, and head falls between your biceps. Feel the compression of the hips, the length of the low back. Deep breaths into your tailbone. Look to the top of your mat. Wrists go back underneath your shoulders. We send that left heel back to unravel for a moment. And then exhale, set that left knee down. Restack your joints, and we're going to tuck all 10 toes underneath here. So as you tuck your toes underneath, you're going to inhale, drop your belly, pull the heart and chest forward, gaze goes high. As you exhale into your cat pose, I want you to hover your knees, chin to chest, navel to spine, and lift your knees a few inches away from the mat. We inhale, keep your toes tucked, we lower knees down, we drop belly as you find that cow pose. Exhale, we round and we lift. We're going to start to take a couple cat and cows here. As you drop your knees, you drop your belly, your gaze goes high. Exhale, navel to spine, chin to chest, knees hover. Good, let's take about 2 more. Inhale, arch. Exhale, we round. Inhale, we drop the belly. This last time, we're going to hold there at the top of that different cow pose or cat pose, chin to your chest. We're going to find a little turbo dog. Your toes are tucked underneath. Now press the heart and chest back towards the thighs. Spread the fingertips really wide. And then find that concavity into the upper back as you allow your head to fall between your biceps. Roll the eyes of the elbows forward. Look back and make sure that your feet are at least hip distance apart, if not wider. And then straighten out your legs here. We're going to come into our first downward facing dog. As we come into this first down dog, spend a moment here to find some movement. Pedal out your feet. Drop your heels, maybe side to side. Shake your head no. Pressing heart back towards the thighs. Good, take a couple more rounds of breath. And as we inhale, you're going to rise to your tippy toes, looking forward. Gently start to walk your toes behind your wrists so that you're in a forward fold to the top of your mat. Big, generous bend in your knees, grabbing opposite elbows, find a rag doll. Belly to the thighs, weight goes into the balls of the feet as the crown of the head goes towards your forearms. Allow your head to relax. Allow the weight to shift forward so that you feel the decompression of the spine as the head is heavy. If you want to, you can move side to side. And then from here, from your ragdoll, you're going to send your hands down. Now, a block is optional here, straight legs. If you need to bring the earth to you, send something underneath this left hand. Left hand is going to plant underneath the face. You bend that left knee to the left tricep. Right leg stays straight as that right arm reaches up. We find the twist to the right side of the room. Gaze goes up to the right middle finger. If you wanted a little bit more, the more you bend that left knee, the more intense this is going to be for the outer right hip and glute. You could even choose to find a little half wrap here, maybe sending your gaze up towards the sky, or maybe you just work to bend that left knee a little bit further to that left tricep and press and open up the chest, the right side of the room. So then inhale to your right fingertips. Gaze goes down to that left hand. We're going to switch it out. 2 straight legs through center. The right hand plants to the earth or to the block. Bend that right knee to the right tricep. Start to feel the outer edge of the left leg. Left arm reaches up as we open up the heart and chest, the left side of the room. Start to spiral open the chest, pressing the back of that left hand to the right side of the room. Option to bind, option to find a deeper bend in that right knee. Gazing over that left shoulder if needed. So then inhale to your left fingertips. Exhale, both hands plant in a forward fold with straight legs. Hands to the shins or to the earth as you inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Press into your feet. We root to rise, sweeping arms up towards the sky. At the top, right hand locates left wrist. Let's find a side body stretch. Gazing underneath that left arm, open up the left side body. Inhale back to center. Left hand locates right wrist. We go over to the left and gaze over to the right. Keep pressing into the outer edge of that right foot to lift up. Inhale, back to center. Reach up on your inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to hinge and forward fold. Hands to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift. As your hands plant, your feet walk back into a plank pose. You can always modify by dropping down onto your knees if you need a little bit less. Zip inner thighs together. Press through the heels of your hands and draw your navel towards your spine. If you want more here, you could shift this forward and backward, starting to feel where the different parts of your abdominals catch. And then everyone here is going to come down. Exhale, lower knees, chest, chin. As we begin to slither down onto your belly, you untuck your toes, coming onto your stomach here. And you're going to lift up that right ankle and cross it over the left. There's that compression of your pelvis and low back. Hands travel underneath your shoulders, and then press into your hip points and start to peel the heart and chest away from the mat. Coming into your Bhujangasana, tuck your chin towards your chest, lengthening tall through the crown of the head. Keep pressing into the top of that left foot as you cross right leg over left. If you want more, hover your hands here. Pressing through your pubic bone to find the lift of the chest. Inhale. Exhale, we lower. You uncross right ankle from left, and we're going to switch it out. You're going to take that left ankle on top of the right. Roll that left hip down. Slide your thumbs to the upper rib cage and press into your hips. Let's lift the heart and chest away from the mat. Again, option here, you could hover your hands, sending your chin to your chest. Find length as you press into your pubic bone. Inhale. Exhale. Gently start to lower it down. Uncross your ankles, shake your hips if you need to. Press into your palms, child's pose. Big toes come to touch, knees travel wide, and belly falls between your thighs. Gentle reminder, anytime you need a break throughout today's practice, you can come back here, finding a place of rest and catching up to us if and when you're ready. Inhale, we're going to look to the top of your mat. We come through all fours. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Hips go high, heels travel to the back edge of your mat. Release your head. And then as you inhale, you're going to rise to your toes. Look forward and walk, step or float your feet to the top of your mat. Big toes touch. As you inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, we forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, sweeping arms up towards the sky. Exhale, seal hands in heart center. We are going to move through sun salutations. Know that you can always take knees, chest, chin option, or skip that chaturanga, going right back into your downward facing dog. Inhale, we sweep the arms high. Exhale, hinge and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, feet go back, high plank pose. Exhale, lower down, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra pose. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. 3 rounds of breath here. Each inhale sends the tailbone higher. Each exhale sinks your heels a little bit deeper. Inhale, rise to your toes. Looking forward, walk, step, float your feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, sweeping arms up towards the sky. Exhale, seal hands in heart center. Inhale, reaching your arms up. Exhale, hinge as you forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, feet go back. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, lowering down halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. 3 rounds of breath. Inhale, rising to your toes. Look forward, safely travel to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold it in. Inhale, we root to rise, sweeping arms up towards the sky. Exhale, seal hands and thumbs at heart space. One more sun salutation A. As you inhale, reach the arms high. Exhale, lead with your heart hinging from your hips, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands plant, feet go back. Optional knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Inhale, rising to your toes. Look forward and make your way up to the top of your mat. Big toes touch, sliver of light between your heels. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Chair pose, bending into your knees, heavy in your heels. Lift all 10 toes up and away from the mat here. Try to stack your knees over the ankles and pull the heart and chest forward, opening up through the chest. Exhale, sink 1 inch deeper if you can. Holding here at the bottom of this chair pose. Inhale, we come to stand. We open up the chest, sending hands back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant. Take your feet back. Take it out your way. You can take it through that vinyasa or go right back into that downward facing dog. Inhale, send the right leg high. 3-legged downward facing dog. Keep your hips squared as you rotate that right pinky toe down. And as you exhale, pull that right knee to the left tricep. Coming across the body, find a little gentle rotation. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, right knee, left tricep. Give it a squeeze, shoulders over wrists. Right leg goes high. Third and final time, right knee, left tricep. Squeeze. Draw that right knee in towards the center, stepping right foot between your hands, Crescent Lunge, Anjaneyasana. You're on the ball of that left foot as we inhale, rise up. Stacking right knee on top of that right ankle, reach that back left heel over the ball of the foot. Almost like you're weightless in that back foot, reaching through your fingertips, open up the heart on that inhale. If you feel off balance, separate your feet or shorten your stance here. Inhale, send the energy to your fingertips. Exhale, we're going to sweep the hands back, crown of the head goes forward. As you come into this charging lunge, squeeze your triceps together. Try to open up the chest by squeezing shoulder blades in toward one another. And then gaze forward. We're going to come into a warrior seat. Now you're coming light into the back left toes without momentum. Press into that right foot and you reach that left heel back. Rotate the left pinky toes down. Know that your hands can come to heart center. You could always keep that left foot as a kickstand, but you're going to continue to open up the chest here. Hold for that inhale. Exhale. Inhale out the crown of the head. Bend that right knee. We're going to land back in that crescent lunge. You're on the ball of the left foot. Sweep your arms high. Exhale, take your thumbs to heart center. Again, reach that back left heel over the back left toes. And an inhale through the crown of the head, we hinge from the hips. We're going to take a twist. You're going to hook this left elbow outside of the right thigh. Press into your palms. If you need to modify, lower that back left knee down. Stacking your elbows, send your gaze over that right shoulder. If you want more, you can send that left hand outside of the right foot and you can reach that right arm up. Blossoming open the wings, or you can stay here. See if you can find a rotation by lifting the navel away from that right thigh. If your arms are blossomed, take them back to heart center. You're going to keep the twist and gaze forward beyond the right pinky toe, and then step that left foot forward. We're coming into a twisted chair. Draw your knees together. Bending into your knees, heavy in your heels, you find that twisted chair pose. Lift belly away from your thighs. Stack your elbows. Draw your thumbs to sternum. Lift up all 10 toes. Sink your hips 1 inch deeper. Hold for that exhale. Inhale, press into your feet. We come up, we find a little baby back bend at the top. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, feet go back. You've got that optional vinyasa, or you can come right back into that downward facing dog. Take 3 rounds of breath here. Inhale, we're going to send that left heel back. Keep your hips squared. Rotate left pinky toe down. And as you exhale, left knee, right tricep. Give it a little tap. Send that left heel back high on your inhale. Exhale, left knee, right tricep. Inhale, left leg high. Third and final time, squeezing left knee to that right tricep. Lift it up a little bit higher. Pull the left knee into the chest. Step left foot between your hands. Root down through the ball mound of that back right foot and inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Anjaneyasana. Take that big bend in that left knee. Draw that back right heel over the ball of the foot. And then draw the navel in towards the spine, reaching through your fingertips. Again, if you need less, shorten your stance or walk your feet further apart. Inhale to your fingertips. Exhale, we're going to sweep the hands back. Crown of the head goes forward into this charging crescent lunge. Squeezing arms in towards the midline. Gaze the top of your mat. Belly lifts away from the left thigh. Right heel lifts over the ball of the back right toes. We're coming into that warrior C, pressing into that left foot. You begin to lift up Virabhadrasana 3 as you rotate that right pinky toe down. Hands can go heart center, arms can reach forward, but keep your hips rooted down. Good, actively squaring it off. Take an inhale, exhale. Bending into that left knee, we land your right toes down, safely arriving back in your crescent lunge, sweep your arms high. Draw hands to heart center, thumbs to sternum. Open up your chest, we twist. Hinging from your hips, you hook that right elbow outside the left thigh. Pressing into your palms, stack your elbows. Maybe your gaze goes over that left elbow. You can drop the back right knee down if you need to modify. Lift your belly towards your spine and away from that left leg, seeing if you can twist deeper. If you want more, you can blossom open your wings. Find the rotation, that length. If your arms are open, send your hands back to heart center. We're going to gaze in front of your left toes and then step the right foot forward, landing in that twisted chair, drawing that right knee back to meet the left, bend into your knees, press your palms together. Again, try not to let that right knee bump in front of the left. Pull it back. Maybe your gaze goes over that left elbow. Sink your hips a little bit deeper. Inhale, press into your feet. We come on up. Exhale, cactus, open your elbows towards your kidneys. Open up. Inhale, open, reaching your fingertips high. Exhale, forward fold. Separate your feet hip distance apart or wider. And find a forward fold here at the top of your mat. Let's catch up with our breath. We're going to start to work into balance. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, lifting halfway. Heel toe your toes back to touch if they're separate. Now you can use a block here. It's not necessary. If you are using a block, you're going to take your block, take it right up against that right pinky toe at its lowest height. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. I'm going to show you this from the front here, but you're going to stay where you're at. We're going to come into that chair pose. You're going to bend into your knees, sweeping your arms up. Now as we come to this chair pose, the weight goes into that right foot. You start to lift that left knee up and cross that left leg over the right. We've seen this lots of times, this eagle leg. Your hands may go to heart center if you want more balance. Try to take the very tips of your left toes on top of the block, so not a lot of weight here. Notice if you're moving over to the right, see if you can square it back up. And then bend that right knee, see if you can sink a little bit deeper. Now, if you're not using a block, you're gonna come into eagle pose. Even if you are using a block and you wanna go further, you wrap that left foot behind that right shin. Again, try not to open up your hips, square them back to the front of the room. Sink a little bit lower, we feel those outer hips here. If you want more, you can send your arms up, bending a little bit deeper here. I'll show you from the side before we move out and go into our second side. Left leg stays wrapping over the right, bend and sink, 3. Pressing into all 4 corners of that standing right foot for 2. We release by lifting up, pull that left knee into the chest with control, step left foot down. Inhale, reach your arms high. Exhale, you're gonna reach your hands back, pop to the balls of the feet, coming into a little diver's pose. Press your triceps toward one another, palms to one another, trying to make a 90-degree angle with your body. Now squeeze ankle bones and reach crown of the head forward, maybe stacking your hips over the ankles a little bit more. Engage your belly, squeezing inner thighs, 3. If you want more, send your fingertips forward, 2. And 1, drop your heels forward, fold, release, let it go. You could paddle out your feet if you'd like. And then we're gonna take that second side. So if you're using that block, you're gonna take it over outside of your left pinky toe now. Again, I'm gonna show you this from the front. You're gonna stay where you're at. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend into your knees, chair pose. Heavy in your heels. Now take your hands to heart center for some control. Weight goes into that left foot. We lift up that right leg, sending your right big toe down to your block, or maybe it's just hovered if you don't have a block. Pull the left hip forward, squaring everything off. Big bend in that left knee. That's gonna give you more opportunity to wrap that right leg up and over, sinking it down really low. Maybe you send that right foot behind that left calf. Notice if you're squaring off to the left, see if you can pull it back forward. Bending a little bit further into that left knee, squeezing and wrapping, finding that balance. Option to send your hands up, option to bend that left knee a little bit more. Let's hold for 3 more rounds of breath as you find that balance. If you fall, come right back into it, or maybe you use that right toe as a kickstand. 3, 2, come up to stand, pull that right knee into the chest, step right foot down, inhale, reaching your arms high. Let's go into diver's pose once again, palms flip up. You send your hands back, hinging from your hips. You rise the tippy toes, squeezing ankles together. Squeeze triceps in, gaze out to the top of your mat. Draw your navel in towards your spine, lifting up through the chest. Exhale, hands land, forward fold. Pedal it out if you need to. Move the block if it's still outside of that left foot. And inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, feet go back. You've got that optional vinyasa, or you can go right back into your downward facing dog. Yogi's choice, travel it out your way. Inhale, we're gonna take that right leg high. Exhale, right knee, left tricep. We're gonna hold here. Lift it up towards that left underarm and straighten out that right leg, sitting the outer edge of that right foot down. Feel this right IT band, and we're gonna lower that right hip down to the ground. So in lieu of a standard pigeon, we're gonna work IT band to untuck your back left toe. Work to take this left hip towards that right inner thigh. And we're gonna stay square to the front of the room. So you're gonna drop down maybe onto your forearms here. If you want more, you're gonna send your right toes further to the front of the room. If you need less, take that right heel back. But you're stacking that left hip on top of the right, maybe even higher. And then you find that right IT band. Some of you might have the capability of coming all the way down onto your bellies. sending your left ear down, you get that rotation of the spine. I'm not going to do that because I'll squish my mic here. Again, if you want more, sending right toes forward. So deep breaths. Feel that right outer hip. The spiral of the low back. The compression of the inner thighs. Allow both legs to be heavy and soft. If you're on your stomach, you can always take that left hand to grab that right foot as you fall further down to the mat. Hold. Let's take 3 more rounds of breath here. If you're on your belly, come back to your forearms. And then coming onto your hands here, you're going to tuck your back left toes underneath and lift that left knee away from the mat. Engage your belly as you pull that right knee back towards the left tricep. Hold and squeeze. Now we open it up here. You send that right heel towards the left glute as you begin to open up your hips. Some of you might want to flip your dog coming into Wild Thing. You can land that right foot behind the left and open up through the chest, finding a little back bend. If you're not taking Wild Thing, you can just roll out that hip. Wherever you are, send that right hand down. We come back into your downward facing dog. We're going to get that second side now. Inhale, send that left heel high. Exhale, left knee, right tricep. Give it a squeeze. Lift it up towards the right underarm. Now straighten out that left leg, setting the outer edge of that left foot down. You guys should already feel this left IT band with the scissoring of the hips. And then lower that left hip to the earth. Untuck your back right toes. Let's pull that right hip towards the right side of the room and towards the inner left thigh. And then you're going to come down onto your forearms or elbows. If you want more, coming down to your belly, send your right ear down. If you still need more, this left foot that's out to the side is going to reach towards the top of your mat. If you need less, you're going to send that left heel back, creating more of a 90-degree angle, rolling right hip down, we fold. So instead of pigeon, we're working outer hips. You're working that compression, that piriformis in the low back. You can get a little twist here by coming onto your belly. And if you still need more, this right hand can grab for that left foot as you fold and fall. Taking a few deep rounds of breath. Get about 3 more in and out breaths here. You're on your belly and come back to your forearms. We're all going to come to the hands. Tuck your right toe underneath. Lift that right knee up. Let it be active as you pull that left knee back to that right tricep without dragging or scraping. And then we open it up here, flip it over, or maybe just dropping that left heel towards your right glute. Maybe you find a wild thing. Maybe you just open the hip and start to draw circles. Left hand is going to land. You come back into that downward facing dog. Hips go high. Inhale. Exhale, drop to hands and knees. We're going to lower down onto your hips. Send your feet out in front of you, making sure that you're in the center of your mat here. As you send your feet forward, take the flesh off and away from your sits bones. Sitting up nice and tall. And you're going to take that right ankle and cross it over the left. So as your ankles are crossed, your inhale reaches your arms high. Exhale, you hinge as you forward fold. Belly over the thighs, crown of the head to the tops of the toes, shoulders down away from your ears. Notice what the ankle cross is doing for the outer hips and the compression of the inner thighs. If that right hip feels slightly higher than the left, see if you can press that right glute back down into the mat. And then fold. Maybe lowering your third eye towards that right shin. Deep breaths into your belly. Begin to walk your hands back towards your hips, sitting up nice and tall. You've got that right ankle crossed on top of the left, so we're just going to bend the right knee and slide that right foot outside the left thigh. Keeping both hips on the ground. If this is not accessible to you, just send the right foot inside of that left leg. Right hand comes to your low back, left arm reaches high, navel in towards your spine. We begin to rotate, hooking left elbow outside of the right thigh, gaze goes over the right shoulder as we find that twist and that wrap. If you wanted more of a challenge, you could take both hands to heart center, keep squeezing inner thighs, pressing palms, gaze continues to travel over to the back of the room. Just an option for a little bit more intensity should you need it. You can always keep that right hand down, working on stacking shoulders over the hips, and each exhale sends you into a deeper twist. Sending your gaze forward. We're going to come into this half pigeon pose, seated. You're just going to drop that knee open. The right ankle is on top of the left thigh above the knee, so there's no pressure on the knee joints. Now you could stay here and just work on taking that right ankle in line with the right knee. If you've got a healthy knee and open hips, we're going to find half shoelace. You're going to take this right heel outside of the left hip, and just like we started in practice, sandwiching that right knee on top of the left. I'm going to show you from the side here. So you've got that right heel right up against the left hip, right knee on top of left. You start to feel that right IT band, but we're actually going to work this bottom left leg. Inhale, sweep your arms high. Whether you're taking half pigeon or half shoelace, you start to forward fold if you can. Belly towards your thighs, crown of the head goes forward, your hips stay nice and squared, and then fold your body towards and over that extended left leg. Keep your shoulders from creeping up into your ears. Keep both hips firmly rooted into your mat. As we hold, keep flexing your left toes back to the crown of the head for 2. Excuse me. And 1, walk your hands back towards your hips, sitting up nice and tall. We unravel that right leg from wherever it's at. Send it forward to meet the left and wiggle it out. Now we're going to go that second side. This time you cross that left ankle on top of the right. And then inhale, reach your arms high. Exhale, forward fold in this Paschimottanasana version. Your shoulders down away from your ears. Belly towards your thighs. Crown of the head to the tops of the feet as you fold. Keep that left hip on the ground. Don't let it come up. Keep reaching crown of the head to the tops of the feet and shoulders travel down away from your ears. Walk hands back towards your hips, stacking shoulders on top of the hips, sitting up nice and tall. That left ankle that's crossed over is just going to bend that left knee, and you slide that right foot outside, or that left foot outside the right thigh. Again, if you cannot keep this left hip down as you do this, send it inside of that right leg. And then we're going to find that twist. Left hand comes to your low back, right arm reaches high. Exhale, hook right elbow or tricep outside the left thigh and gaze over the left shoulder. Sitting up nice and tall. If you want, hands can come to heart center. You can press through your palms, drawing your thumbs to sternum space and send your gaze over that left shoulder. Actively squeezing inner thighs, or you could just stay here in a more supported twist, pulling that left hip down, gaze the back of the room. Sending your gaze forward, we unravel. We drop that left knee open. You can come into this little figure four, the seated pigeon pose, keeping your shin parallel to that top edge of your mat. Or if you want more, we're going to hug this left heel outside of the right hip and sandwich that left knee on top of the right for half shoelace. Flex right toes. Think about pulling that right femur bone back into the hip socket as if you're shortening that bottom right leg. Left knee on top of the right, sitting up nice and tall. Now we start to fold, drawing your belly towards that thigh space. Walking your hands forward, crown of the head reaches the tops of the toes, shoulders down away from your ears, and fold. Allow the body to be heavy in this shape. 3, 2, walking your hands back towards your hips, sitting up nice and tall. We turn that left foot forward to meet the right. You could shake it out if you like. Arms are going to go forward, and as if somebody was punching you in the gut, your navel goes towards your spine. You round the entire posterior chain as you lower your chin to your chest, and we're just going to take our time to lower down onto our backs nice and slow. One vertebrae at a time until you're on your back, and then you can reach your arms up overhead. Stretching long, stretching tall. Pull your knees into your chest, press your low back firmly into the mat beneath you. And then we're going to lower the feet down, heels in line with your sits bones. Feet and knees are both hip distance apart. You should be able to graze the back of your heels with your fingertips. Hands plant outside of the hips, pressing into all four corners of your feet. Begin to lift your pelvis and then your low back as we peel up one vertebrae at a time, coming into our bridge pose. Refrain from letting your knees splay out to the side, drawing your tailbone up, pressing your shoulders deeply into the mat beneath you. Lift your chin slightly away from your chest. Think about keeping that nice and long spine. Drawing legs in towards the center, squeezing glutes. And then gently lowering down one vertebrae at a time. Tailbone touches the earth, curvature reoccurs in your low lumbar spine. Walk your feet wide, separate knees, and begin to windshield wipe right to left. Find an internal and external rotation through the hips as we reset your low back, massaging your piriformis and outer glutes. Coming back to center. Drawing your knees together and your feet go up towards the sky. Here's a waterfall pose. If you've got a block, you can take a supported waterfall by placing that block horizontally underneath your hips. If you cannot keep your feet upright without any support, you could always take your heels to a wall or use something to wrap around the balls of the feet and hold them up with your hand. If you have a shoulder stand or candlestick in your practice, hands can arrive at your low back, feet can go up towards the sky. Finding an inversion here of your choice so that you can send some blood back into your hip flexors, reversing the blood flow for at least 5 full rounds of breath. Taking your time, you begin to come down when, and if you're ready, if you've got any counter positions like a plow or ear pressure pose, you could explore those now. But as you come down here, we're going to find a final supine twist. Arms come out to the side, and with your knees and thighs squeezing together, you're going to lower knees over to the right, nice and controlled. Left hip stacks on top of right. Roll left shoulder down. If you wanted more, you could extend your feet to the right side of the room. This right hand can grab to that left ankle, and you can work to plug that left shoulder down, finding a little bit more into the outer hips here through this twist. Taking a couple deep rounds of breath. Gaze goes up, knees bend, come back to center before we find our second side. Gently lowering knees over to the left. You stack right hip on top of the left. Roll right shoulder down. Gaze goes over to the right middle finger. If you need more, you can straighten out your legs. This left hand can grab for the outer edge of that right foot or ankle. And then as that right shoulder falls to the ground, you find deep breaths. Open space through the right side of your body. The wringing of the tissues along the vertebrae. Gaze goes up, knees bend as you come back to center. Pull your knees in tightly towards the body, giving yourself a squeeze. If you want anything else here, maybe a happy baby or something else I have not offered, explore it now. Once you're ready, we're going to come into Shavasana. Allow your feet to fall to the bottom corners of the mat. Your arms rest beside you. Your body remains still and quiet here. Eyes closed. Shoulders are soft. Breath returns back to its natural rhythm. Know that you could stay in your Shavasana for as long as you prefer. If you're ready to move with me, start to wiggle out fingertips and toes, wrists and ankles. On your next inhale, start to reach your arms overhead, stretching long, stretching tall. Exhale, pull knees to the chest, thighs to belly, low back to the mat. Carefully rolling to your favorite side, coming into a fetal position. Know that you could stay there or use that top hand to come up into a seated pose, crossing your ankles, arriving in Sukhasana, stacking shoulders on top of your hips, crown of the head reaches tall, bending your elbows, sealing hands to heart center. Allow your thumbs to fall to your sternum space. Taking a moment here to honor this place of love, this place of compassion. And may everything you do be driven from this place. As we inhale, we send our thumbs to third eye center, bowing together to say Namaste.